Hello, my name is Giovanni White, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on Matilda, who was first introduced in Purgatory and Canto 28. She appears at the top of the mountain of Purgatorio in the Garden of Eden, or the earthly paradise as described in the text. God, along with Matilda, maintains the garden despite humanity leaving it. And this is based on the premise that if humanity ever wants to return home, which is the Garden of Eden in this case, it'll be there for them just the way they left it. And a parallel can be drawn to finally reaching the summit of purgatory, in which it's comparable to returning home by reaching perfection and being deemed worthy in the eyes of God. And this is done by overcoming one's imperfections exhibited by sin to finally enter the garden. And as the layout of purgatory suggests, the more egregious sins puts one the furthest away from perfection or the Garden of Eden and takes the longest time to overcome them. And the Garden of Eden is also stated to exist in the core memory of everyone, which Dante uses to explain why certain writers have dreams about the Garden of Eden. And Matilda acts as a guardian and baptizer in the river Lethe, which is where those that come forget all their sins. And then in another river, they're baptized to remember all the good they've done in this world and like all the progress they've made essentially. I'm going to be focusing on the aspects of her job for the interview and why she was entrusted with such a prestigious task, and possibly attempt to figure out a connection or her connection to God to be given such a job, and try to explain it through the interview. And I chose her character because of the ambiguity of it and how many scholars disagree about her origins or what Matilda truly means for the story, where some believe she's based off an actual historical figure and others simply believe it's the embodiment of a concept of wisdom. And she's relevant to the course because it reflects a woman in a significantly powerful role, something that was originally entrusted to a man, Adam, and kind of this shift of responsibility to her. And it shows how Dante generally would use women in positions of significance despite their culture at the time, which men may have seen women as lesser and unfit for such tasks. And in the context of the story, I was thinking Matilda could be possibly tested to see her devotion to God, where she would have to be kind of a blind follower. And I drew the parallel to the story of Isaac and Abraham, where Abraham is tasked with sacrificing his son to God. And in the end, God tells him not to do it. And it was simply a test of his fate, and potentially seeing if there's a similar story to that for why Matilda was entrusted with taking care of and baptizing in the garden. And more questions would generally be about Dante and trying to get into her mind and thoughts and see who Matilda is as a person. And I assume it's going to be more trying to reveal like why she's so blissful and such. And I would be questioning her as a representative of the imperfect earth rather than the earthly paradise, and kind of simply trying to gather information about her character to bring back and then share with the people of Earth. And that would be my presentation. Thank you.